Okay, hi to all you 2 or 3 people that are actually listening to these or watching them or whatever you feel like. And it's time for another adventure game book playthrough. This month I'll be looking at another Heroquest one. So it's Heroquest Beyond the World's Edge, which was a solitaire adventure for a wizard. Basically, it's a solo mission. It is from the 92 Heroquest book, The Screaming Scepter, which was the second of the 3 books made, and again it was written by Dave Morris. The cover art is a very close zoom in from the Wizards of Morcar cover art. And this is the first book that not only contains a story and adventure gamebook section, but also came with a mission that you can play on Heroquest, which is a solo adventure featuring the wizard. This is a very wizard-heavy story. What's also quite interesting is it starts off with a map of the Heroquest world, as they call it. They describe the Heroquest world is loosely based on the Warhammer world, which is copyright against Workshop and used with their permission. So this is about the only time it openly admits the Heroquest world is not the Warhammer world, but it is loosely based on it, which would tie up with a lot of the in-depth references I've covered on my blog. And the map's also interesting because it focuses on Nautica, which is to the north of the Warhammer world, just below the Northern Chaos Wastes. And I don't believe they really did much stuff there. I mean, you had a few from that era, but never really focused on it. So a lot of the Warhammer maps I know of say there's a landmass there, but have no description or details at all. This one actually gives a quite detailed map of it, showing where the World's Edge Mountains are, a lot of locations, which, yeah, it's didn't really appear in any Warhammer that I'm aware of. I mean, the main places that jump out at me, the list where the Northern Chaos Wastes are, the Nautican Steppes. I can never write that. It's pronounced steppes or steeps, you know. Yeah. There's a few other places that look here. The City of the Seven. Wonder which 7. Wonder how magnificent they are. Dargvel Vor, or Darvelin Vor, the Isle of the Firmir. This is an interesting place. I wonder where much of the Firmir backstoryline for Warhammer. I mean, they were a species that was created for Warhammer to be a signature species. Because basically, I can't remember who it was at the time. I mean, I don't think it was Brian Ansell, but could have been. Looked at things like RuneQuest. I think it's RuneQuest. That had the brew, whoever is their signature. This is the original species we completely control. Dungeons and Dragons. They do have a couple, but I can't think of the main one for them at the moment. But they wanted an original Warhammer race that is not the generic orc, goblin, that kind of thing, but one that's signature to Warhammer. And they came up with the Firmir, which were not original. I mean, seriously, they used a Alan Lee image from his Book of Fairies based on the Celtic it's one of the Celtic gods, this one-eyed god. His version shows it with literally one eye being Cyclopean, which, although I say Cyclopean, Cyclops doesn't actually mean one-eyed. Words get really badly used at times. He drew it as a creature with one eye, where the real myths are probably just ones that have lost one of their eyes. So they're probably like wear eye patches and stuff. Anyway, so they based it on that picture and that image and that stuff, and then created the species. A bit more muscular. They never really did much with them. Partly because one of the changes that were being done to Warhammer at the time was toning certain aspects down. Not fully. I mean, for you still had a lot of slashy stuff going on that was more adult than some of the later stuff. But they decided they didn't think much of the pyramid, how there's so much being done. And, well, you could field a contingency of them, but really, HeroQuest was their big shining moment. Outside of HeroQuest, they did very little with them. I think some of them might have tried to dip their hands in them, but they were basically a flop. Which is a shame, because there's a lot of good potential, and a lot of other creators have taken ones based on the same kind of concept as the Cyclopean Celtic race in various different ways that are very interesting, quite nice. A lot of good stuff around there. Anyway, any other places? Well, Sea of Claws, which is well known for Warhammer stuff, mentioned. Sigmarin, which is interesting. A place that appears to be called Meerkat. Yeah. Uberwald? Huh. Apparently Uberwald is in Noska. And then it points out where Kislev and the Emperor are, although technically shouldn't be the Emperor, then Kislev on the other way, but yeah. But it's just interesting to show this map and focus on a section of the Warhammer world that's not really covered much. Anyway, as I said, the main story is the Screaming Spectre, which is all about the wizard, or a wizard, doing a mission and stuff. Then it comes with a HeroQuest mission running the gauntlet, which uses the HeroQuest boards, but you only use the wizard on his own. And it basically follows the same kind of storyline as the books, or part of it. There's a couple of interesting bits with this mission, because there's like a few high powerful lords give you this mission to get this weapon for them, the famous wand. And basically, you do have the option of, when you get back to them, decide not to give it to them, and then having a fierce battle with them. And yeah, interesting. Right, this actually officially calls this Beyond the World's Edge, a solitaire adventure for a wizard. And the picture they show is the elf casting a spell. Yeah. As you read this, it's Beyond the World's Edge. This is a solo adventure for a wizard. All you will need are paper, pencil, and a normal 6-sided dice. About right. Be warned, the adventure is not easy. You will need to think very carefully about when to use your spells if you are to succeed. You might need to make several attempts, but if you do win through to the end, then you are truly deserving of the title hero. Yeah, well, I don't really think that's going to happen, because my track record isn't really one of surviving if you've got a chance of dying. Introduction is, you are a wizard on the Verde coast in southeastern Immerse. Let's have a look at the map, see if we can figure out where those places are. Let's see, Immerse. I can keep saying Immerse so I can find it. And I can't find it at the moment. That's unusual. It's got the mission where the mission's set, but where is this Immerse? Well, I have no idea where we're meant to be. So, okay. We start off. Yeah, there's a Bay of Ice. You need to say Bay of Ice. I'll double check it. No, brilliant. Oh well. You are apprenticed to the Archimage. I don't think there should be an I there. Surely Archmage is spelled differently. The Archimage Theodosis, which I'm probably pronouncing wrong. One day, returning after an errand that you took away from your master's manse for several days, you better run a sentence, you found the place deserted. You searched high and low for some clue as to your master's fate, but there was nothing. Among his papers you discovered references to the Citadel of the Seven Statues, where by legendary repute one could learn the secret of eternal life. Oh, that's never a good thing. Only one very rare book is said to give the location of the Citadel, a copy of which Theodosius has in his library. Well, that's amazing. But when you went to consult it, you found only a gap in the shelves. The months passed without word of your master. You had begun to give up hope, fearing that he had perhaps been carried off by the forces of chaos. Surely you would not wait months, but... Then, this morning, you were walking along the shore near the manse when you came upon a round-bottomed bottle bobbing up and down in the waves. Yeah, you thought, it's a message in a bottle. And I'm probably going to say you lot are thankful that I can't remember the lyrics to the message in the bottle, or even the tune. Anyway, waiting out to retrieve it, you were surprised to find it contained a note. I was not surprised it contained a note, because if you find a message in a bottle, you assume there's going to be a message in it. Even more surprised, it was addressed to you. You raced back to the manse, and are now unfurling the note across your workbench, because you can't read the note outside with wet feet, apparently. You scan it avidly. The Citadel of the Seven Statues proved more dangerous than I had anticipated. I've been made a prisoner here. I am kept bound in iron chains to prevent any use of sorcery. Yes, there's a thing in some folklore myth about iron being a good defense against magic. I know iron was a metal that can be used to defeat the devil because of something that's not very pure, but I can't remember fully. Fortunately, I was able to bribe my good jailer, a henchback of quite odious habits, and he has provided me with a pen and paper. It falls to you, my faithful student, to rescue me. Go to my laboratory, where you will find a magic carpet. Take this with you, and ride to the easternmost rim of the world, at the brink of the great abyss. There you must command the carpet to convey you across the abyss. You will need spells for your journey. Choose spells of 3 elemental... Okay, I can't read that word. Philia? Okay. You have always resisted a good grounding in sorcery, and in this case, I believe your natural inclination to be correct. Resisted? Many dangers will beseech you, but I trust you to be equal to the task. Do not fail me. Your venerable master, Theodosius. P.S. I will put this note inside my lucky bottle, which apparently I brought with me on this mission, and throw it into the river that runs beneath the window of my prison. The unique properties of the lucky bottle ought to ensure it carries down to the sea, and thence around the world until it reaches you. This will accidentally confirm my theory that there is a sea which encircles the whole world. There's a sea which encircles the whole world. Well, yeah. You've been to Lustria before? And yeah, I suppose. Okay, interesting. Lucky bottle. I have to carry a lucky bottle that I know can travel inland to find all I want to find. So what I can't stand is that you have always resisted a good grounding in sorcery. You've resisted sorcery. I believe your natural inclination to be correct. But it takes these spells with you anyway. Okay. An extraordinary document. You pick up the lucky bottle and tuck it into your belt. This will come in useful on your quest. Now, read the rules and you'll be ready to set out. Yeah, this, again, basically it follows the HeroQuest rules. You have your body, which your body stats, characteristic starts at 4. You have your mind, which starts at 6. You have a combat ability of 3. And the speed of 3. Again, the speed is a bit different from normal HeroQuest, because that's dexterity reflex. Is the combat, instead of having combat dice you roll, you just have a number which do that bit done. Right, you can carry a maximum of 4 items, and you can have a total of 9 spells. Again, fighting, it's battling rounds, same as the first Heroquest one. But if your combat score is 4, you need to roll 1 to 4 on the dice to hit your foes. But mine's 3, so it'll be 1 to 3. And if your body points resist is 0, you are dead. Alright, when you fight multiple opponents, all of them will get a chance to hit you every round. Regardless of how many opponents you're fighting, you can only do 1 combat roll per round. Yep, same as the previous one. Parrying, instead of attacking any given round, you can parry. Well, you can try. You must decide at the very start of the round, before rolling dice. You must have a weapon in order to parry. You need to roll 1 or 2 on dice, and successfully negates 1 blow struck against you. Monsters can never parry. And sometimes you can flee. You should try to roll your speed, or less on 1 dice. Failure means you lose 1 body point, but you also get away. Success means you escape unscathed. You've managed to escape unscathed. Encumbrance, because you're going to carry 4 items. Come across any item and you're ready at a limit, you have to discard something to make room for it. Note that you start off with a dagger, and if this is lost, deduce 1 point from your combat until you find another weapon to replace it. That is interesting that I start with a dagger, because that's not mentioned on the sheet they give you. But I'm assuming that's one of the 4 items. So I'll just put that on this little sheet. Dagger. Right, spells. There are 12 spells. You can choose 9 of them. They're divided into the 4 elemental categories. Which is also odd, because I can choose the spells from the 3 elemental. That's the old spell in the file, isn't it? I think. Well, there's 3 elemental files, and I can pick from 12 spells from 3 categories. Okay. Anyway, before I start out, I have to pick from the 4 categories: Earth, Air, Fire, Water. You can select spells out of 3 of the 4 categories. I'm just giving a total of 9 spells. Yeah, so basically the same as Heroquest. The wizard can pick 3 of the spells sets. Fine. Spells can be used in battle on any round, however, they cannot do anything else. Yeah. They recommend I read the introduction to the adventure before doing my first choice, because that might give me a clue what spell is best to take. We'll do a quick run through the spells. It's basically the same as the previous Heroquest book, which was a slight modification from the board game. We have Heal Body, restores 4 body points. Rock Skin, halves the injuries you take during the course of that battle, and any fractions you round in your favour. Pass Through Rock lets you move through a solid object. Genie lets you restore 1 point that you've lost in any characteristic, or inflict 1 body point of damage on a foe, or foretell a future. That one's different. You can take a look at 1 entry option in advance before making a choice what to do. Interesting. Or you can open door of the obstacle that you could not otherwise get through. Right. There's then Swift Wind, lets you increase your speed for a single roll, so you'll automatically succeed in no matter what your speed rating is. Tempest, local storm envelops the enemy. Each enemy must start a subsequent round rolling a 1 to 3 before there are 3 of it. Could be useful. Then fire spells, Fire Wrath, seeks out 1 enemy, inflicts 2 body points. Ball of Flame, strikes 1 enemy is facing you in a given fight. Inflicts 1 damage to them if they don't roll a 1 or 2. And Courage, starts your battle, increases your combat score by 1. That's actually quite low. No, 1 extra rolls. And it does it for the whole, for the duration of the battle. However, you'd be unable to flee, must fight to death. Then, Water Magic. Sleep. Doesn't always work, because it gives you only certain pages you can use a sleep spell. You've got certain sections to say. Water of Healing. Heal the body points again. And Veil of Mist. Veil of Mist? Yeah, that was the name of it. Allows you to become partly invisible. Yeah, roughly a conversion of it. Right. There are also apparently talismans. These are magical charms worn around your neck. Each one adds 1 point scored to a particular characteristic. Talisman comes in 4 varieties. Talisman of Bravery, Adds 1 to combat. Talisman of Festination. Festination? Adds 1 point to speed. Talisman of Vigor. Adds 1 to body. And Talisman of Will. Adds 1 to mind. You can start the quest with any one talisman of your choice, taken from the collection of the Master's Laboratory. Talisman only gives a bonus as long as you possess it. If you lose it or discard the talisman, remember to deduct 1 point. So, what talisman to get? So there's a nice little combat sheet that looks very much like the HeroQuest one. Now, let's see. For spells, you can only use spell once and taking it. Yeah, once it's done, can't use it again. Right. I'm gonna say, since he mentioned I have resisted a grounding in sorcery, that I shouldn't take the earth magic because I've resisted ground, and it's a good thing. So I get the genie with the light brown hair, Swift Wind, and Tempest. I get the classic Fire of Wrath, Ball of Flame, Courage, Sleep, Water of Healing, and Veil of Mist. So it's a bit weird when you think air spell, genie. Don't really associate a genie with the air. Doesn't make sense though, but And which talisman do I want to take? Well, my body's only 4. And once that could be good. Mine's 6. That's pretty good already. Combat is 3. And an extra 1 would help a lot. But again, I don't really need that, especially not at the moment. Speed of 3. I'm gonna take the Talisman of Bravery, which will add 1 to my combat. Because there's one thing a wizard needs is help in his combat. Of course, this does mean 2 out of my 4 items are picked. They'll wear around your neck, apparently, these coverings, so. There we go. Begin by writing the items you are carrying on your character sheet. Well, I've already done that. I'm also carrying magic carpet, apparently. So, magic carpet. If it can fly, can I just hover it along the back? And if I choose to take it, the lucky bottle. Lucky bottle could be useful. That said, that'll take all my item slots. I'll take it with me. Worst comes worst, I just have to drop it later. Right. You set out on foot for the abyss as instructed in your master's letter. Could have sworn he said to take the magic carpet, but okay. It takes many days of journeying, but at last you leave the roads and teeming cities of civilization behind. Just as a single dirt track leads you to Elsevier, the city on the rim. You pass through its wide avenues, now deserted except for the birds that nest in the ruined buildings and the weeds and creepers that grow between the huge marble paving stones. Well, what did the birds really eat? Did it have to be like bugs and stuff like that around? No, perhaps they could eat the weeds. Elsevier was once the capital of a great empire, so it is said. But that was thousands of years ago. In those days, there was no abyss. You come to the edge. The road ends suddenly, dropping away into an illimitable distance. Illimitable distance. Oh, you got big Taurus here. Below you is the black void of the abyss. Cold mists sleep across its immense void. A sparkling miasmic veil. Looking to either side, you see only the rim of the world as it shades off into the blue haze of distance. You stare east across the abyss. You cannot see the far side. Like everyone else, you had always imagined that he had none, until you read Ferris's letter. Okay. You unroll the carpet, stand on it. Up, you command. Rise, O rug. Fly, bear me to the east. With a magical fluttering, it takes off and into the air. That's interesting. Not without a tremor of fear, you fly out from the eastern edge of the world, across the vast, uncharted chasm known as the Abyss. Your magic carpet soars aloft through wisps of cloud that become steadily thinner, until finally you are flying under a sky of flat, clear night blue. Beneath you, the black void of the abyss is filled with miasmic vapours, which seethe like heavy fog in the cold hollows of a moor. Day and night seem to have no meaning here. For a long time you lose sight of the sun, and gradually all colour drains from the heavens until they are almost as impenetrably dark as the gulf below. On your tiny carpet you feel no more than a speck suspended on the wind above the endless expanse of nothingness. You glance down only seldom, for it is like staring into the end of time. You are flying over the nothing. Some people have to explain what that is to see note, and others should know. Then, as you hurtle on eastwards, you spy something far down in the depths of the limitless chasm. They are dim and distant, but unmistakably real, glimmering lights in the darkness. You are astounded. How can it be? Lights down there in the abyss, 1,000 leagues from the last city on earth. It seems impossible that any creature should live in the uninhospitable sunless cold, where the thick vapours are said to spell death to any living thing. Then apparently they're not living. Right. If I'm overcome with curiosity, must investigate, turn to one section, or if I prudently fly east, intend to my quest, go to another section. I am quite curious. I also think that often leads to being quite dead. I'll be curious. As you descend, a staggering sight takes form out of the mist. Here, in the middle of the great abyss, a plateau of rock stands above the bottomless void. Thin mists brim around it like a sea, and on the plateau you see the grey walls and black-tiled rooftops of a city. Coughing, for some reason. Thin mist, maybe. You raise your sleeve across your mouth. The dank fog seeping into your lungs chills you to the marrow. But, enticed like a moth to the wan lights of the city, you descend further until you can make out shapes of people moving through the narrow cobbled streets. This is truly an extraordinary discovery. An inhabited city 1,000 leagues out from the eastern edge of the world. Could this single plateau have been left when the rest of the abyss fell away in ancient times? Are the people you see below the isolated remains of that lost civilization? Or could there be a bunch of undead? Yeah. Do I want to take my carpet down to them? Or do you want to fly past right and invest again? Well, I've come this far already. I'm going to fly down to them and say, hello, are you a bunch of undead? Huddled against the noxious chill, you descend into a small paved square surrounded by overhanging buildings. Eternal twilight shrouds the streets. Lamps splutter on high posts, casting a dim sulphurous glimmer on the mist-damped cobblestones. A passerby shambles towards you, face stark and ashen in the streetlight. Where have you come from? He asks in a hollow voice. From the west, you tell him. And what is this place? Oh, you're being very sarcastic, aren't you? Where do you come from? From the west. Up there as well. We call it Niflheim. Oh, great. Niflheim. Yeah, let's try to explain Niflheim to people. Yeah. Depends on the spelling. It's the world of mist, basically. That's what Niflheim means. It's all very misty. It's believed to be the place between Nifl and Hell. But it doesn't really feature much in Norse mythology. In fact, one of the sources of mythology that refers to it, it's highly debated that it might actually be fake. It's a modern piece that's designed to be old. Yeah. Niflheim was generally seen as the realm of ice and cold, or frozen rivers and that kind of stuff. And yeah, basically realm of fire and the realm of ice. In the middle, it became a bit the land of mist. Yeah. Apparently Hel, the goddess daughter of Loki, was also created there, I think. Or whether she lived there. One or the other. But yeah, those who did not die heroically in battle or notable death of some kind went there. But yeah, it's used often, but it's a highly debatable source. But yeah, the world of mist in Northern mythology, and here we are in this place full of mist, and it's called Niflheim. I mean Nausicaa, which is like Norse. Yeah. Anyway, another man passes, quiet as a cat. Well, it's just one of my cats, never quiet. Bare feet padding on the slick stones. He is pushing a handcart. Do I ask what is on the cart? Ask if they know anything about your master? Or just leave to fly on? Can I just look and see what's on the cart? Well, if it's called Niflheim and the word mist, these could be dead people. I'll ask if they know anything about my master. Because that could always be interesting. The name Fionis seems to mean nothing to them. But yonder is the library, says one man as he hears your query. He points to the thin, high building with cramped windows. There are many tomes and documents, another man tells you. You may find something in there pertaining to your quest. The icy mist draws a cough from your lungs. Again. A shudder runs through your frame. The atmosphere of this place is decidedly unhealthy. You must lose 1 body point. Oh, that's just great. Lose 1 body point. I'm down to 3. Frozen to death. Well, not death yet, but I don't want to go to the library or leave already. I think I'll go to the library. There's maybe a slightly dangerous place, but there might be some interesting stuff here. The library is a drafty place with a dank sepulchral smell. I can never pronounce sepulchral. Basically like the dead, kind of. There is no fire. Mildew stains the covers of the books, and mist dampen the pages. Spiders gutter across the shelves as you search for information, scanning the crumbling pages. Oh dear. By the light of a single guttering candle. At last, you rise from your work. You have spent hours in research, but to no avail. Your body feels cold and stiff, and you are suddenly anxious to leave this gloomy place. You hurry outside and get on your carpet, impelling it to go up with magical words of command. You rise out of the mist like a hulk bobbing up and out of the sea, still shivering from the miasmic atmosphere of the lost city, which has pervaded your bones with a deep chill. You fly on to the east. Dawn fringes the horizon ahead. Gold light sketches out line of the cliff. You have reached the far side of the abyss. Your elation is abruptly swept away by a strange feeling. As the sun rises, its rays seem to burn into your eyes. The heat makes you giddy, and you utter a dreadful sigh as you realize the truth. The city where you tarried was the land of the dead people. And the time you spent there breathing the gilded vapor that realm has leached out the life of you. You are now one of the undead, a creature who must hide from the sight of the sun. You have no use to your master now. You know there's only one thing you can do, one place for you to go. You turn the carpet round and head back towards the lost city of Niflheim. That is your true home now, and you shall dwell there until the end of time. In other words, a game over now. Yeah, I am gonna slightly cheat. Because this is too bloody quick. Yeah. I think I've got a choice of saying, go back. In fact, I shall use my genie. Because my genie gives me the ability to check one one section ahead of time, and then decide not to do that one. So as low as a little retroactively, I have used my genie. My genie told me that if I went to the library, I would have realised I'm dead. So instead of going to the library and dying, I instead went somewhere else. Where did I go? Leave. I can leave now. Okay. But I've lost my genie spell. You take the carpet up into the sky. The night mist clings to you in thin tendrils, falling back slowly as you emerge from it. It is like surfacing from the ethereal sea. A racking cough tears at your lungs as you proceed. Lose one body point for your sojourn in the unhealthy atmosphere of the lost city. Be thankful you didn't stay longer. Yes, because I know what that would have been. Okay, that puts me down to half health already. Great. Oh well. You've not gone very much farther when you think you can see dawn ahead, spreading like a stream of blood along the distant horizon. As the red gold light spills into the sky, craggy outlines of the far rim of the abyss begin to take shape out in the misty blue haze of the vanished night. Then it is true! There is indeed another land, entirely unknown, far to the east of the world you know. And now you are its discoverer. Although you can't be its discoverer if your bloody master's there, you stupid wizard. Okay. Heart pounding with eager excitement, you urge the carpet onwards. Looming ever nearer are the sheer cliffs marking the end of the abyss. The rising sun sends out shafts of brilliant light, dispelling the vertiginous terror you felt whenever you gazed into the abyss. Drawing closer to the undiscovered country, you can now make out a thick expanse of jungle completely filling the cliff tops. Some of the luxurious roots and creepers have even dangled down over the edge into the abyss, where you are alarmed to note that the drifting mist has corroded and withered them. How fortunate that you did not descend into that mist yourself, or surely it would have spelled your doom. Apart from I did descend and then rose up. Too late, because then I actually used my genie to see ahead of that time, so I actually went down and then came back up again. Right. Then, with firm ground only a few minutes' flight away, something large rises from the treetops and soars towards you, with its leathery black wings spread against the fiery dawn. It looks like a devil flying out of flames of hell. At first you take it for a monstrous bat, but as it approaches you see something that sends a shiver of horror through you. The creature has the face of a man. Am I in Lustria? I've gone far one side of the world, across the abyss, which is at the edge of the world. So they're going around the other side, and it's a big jungle area. That's Lustria, surely. Yeah. Lustria, if people are unaware, is home of the Slan and Lizardmen, and it gets very complex dealing with the Slan, how they kept on changing things. One time Slan were a big thing, who were at war with the Lizardmen. Then the Slan were a smaller thing, who used the Lizardmen. Then the Slan were pretty much dead, and they were pretty much all Lizardmen. Apart from the special Slan hierarchy, and God, it's just a mess. I think the Slan just never really took off, even though they really tried. And they mostly started getting popular when it became Lizardmen riding dinosaurs. So, yeah. Okay, now I got 3 choices. I can call out and try to speak to this creature, which sends a shiver of horror through me. I can cast a spell on the creature, or I can stand ready to do battle. In a way, I'd like to try and speak out to it and say, "Hi, are you a friend or foe?" But I'm not sure if it'd be that nice to me. Actually, no, I'm going to say hi. I mean, it'd be speaking a complete language to me. It'd be speaking Lustrian. But if this is Lustria, I think it's Lustria. I'll call out and speak to the creature. And what's the worst that can happen? Wait, you say, as the bat thing swoops closer. I am a traveller who wishes to visit your land. I mean you no harm. You are food. It avers by way of contradiction, opening its mouth to display needle-sharp teeth. You are prey. I mean you, great harm. Is this rational? You cry. Have you no curiosity about the country from which I come? None, says the Bat Thing. There is no land to the west. You are perplexed, possibly mad, and shortly you'll be dead. I don't think I like this Bat Thing. So I get a choice of 3 more things. I can tip my carpet down to the mist of the abyss to avoid battle. I don't want to go back down there. I can cast a spell at it. Or I can draw my dagger and try to fight it. I've not got very good health. I don't really want to fight it. Cast a spell. I'd be interested in casting a spell on it. I've got a number of spells that could actually be very useful for me. So let's see. What spells will let me cast at this point? What spell do I want to try? Ball of Flame, Veil of Mist, Tempest, or Sleep? Or I can decide not to use those instead at all. Sleep would be quite interesting. I can put it to sleep. It's flying through the air. Depending on how high above me it is, it can't be that high if it can hear me and I can hear it. But if it's high enough, it can fall to the ground and break its back. Do bats have backbones? They must have backbones. They always seem kind of blobby to me. They must have backbones. Am I going to die again? I could try sleep. The bat creature drops down to the shroud of mist that perpetually fills the abyss. You watch as it dwindles and is finally lost from sight. The fog and darkness close around it like pond water around a stone. The undiscovered country lies ahead, but it is a void brimming gulf below from which there is no true returning. But yeah, the undiscovered country is a reference to death. What was it? Wasn't it Shakespeare, was it? Probably was Shakespeare. Satisfied, you have put an end to your strange adversary. You urge the carpet on towards the far side of the abyss, which I thought already was at. Still, I can't go in there. With a feeling of overwhelming relief, you clear the lip of the chasm at last. You're still flying at breakneck speed, hundreds of feet above the ground, a sensation that most mortals will feel disconcerting. But at least you no longer have the black mist-laden infinity of the abyss below you. The carpet drops lower over the jungle canopy, and you can now see monkeys staring up in amazement through the lush foliage. This surely is Lustria. This is so Lustria. Hey, I wonder if I have any slime in this. Really. Brightly plumed parrots, terrified at your approach, launch themselves from the branches with shrieking cries. Sunrise sends up a wave after wave of steaming, bloom-scented heat from the thick green tangle of rainforest. It is sweltering, but a welcome change from the bone-chilling mist that hung above the chasm. Crossing the abyss took you all night, but you are hardly tired at all. You are sustained by your excitement at beholding this unknown and unmapped continent. Magic carpet brushes the tops of the highest trees, rustling in the heavy leaves. An instant later, you feel a jolt. As hurling onwards, it catches momentarily on the end of a branch. You glance around, realizing that the treetops are now all around you. The magic carpet is losing altitude. Do I then urge it higher? Or decide to land immediately? Yes, I could land to be safer. Realizing the carpet is running out of magical power, you lose no time in descending to the ground. You sink through the forest canopy into a world of sun-cracked green-tinted gloom. An eerie hush descends on the jungle. All the birds and chittering monkeys fall silent to watch you. Great tree trunks slide past the buttresses of a cathedral as you drift down, the carpet rotating slowly as it goes. You finally alight on the forest floor. The silence persists for a few seconds more, then gradually the intrusion is forgotten and the clamour of wildlife returns to the scene. You step off the carpet, staggering like a sleepwalker, drunk on the perfume of jungle flowers and on the splendour of your surroundings. After a few steps, you remember the carpet and glance back. It is useless now, its enchantment entirely used up to bring you across the great gulf between worlds. You could roll it up and take it with you, but it is only a normal rug now, and would be quite inconvenient to carry it on the steamy warmth of the jungle. Decide whether or not to abandon the carpet here. Without the carpet, I don't know how I'm going to get home. But at the same time, it's got no magic in it. Do I want to abandon the carpet or not? It would give me some area something to carry, an extra space. So yeah, they tried to make it a point, so I shouldn't really carry it now. So I'll abandon the carpet for now. Daylight reaches the forest floor only in thin shards, but you are intensely aware of the hot sun beating constantly down on a canopy of foliage high overhead. The jungle seethes with boiling humidity, and there is a constant whisper of condensation trickling across the thick leaves. After you have gone 100 paces, you are drenched in sweat, and you have to cast off most of your fine clothes of silk and velvet. Okay. You trundle on for league after weary league, insects swarm around you, reveling in the scent of your sweat. You curse them constantly, slapping them away. A snake, emerald coils, wound heavily around the overhanging branch of a tree, raises its head to regard you with lidless gems that are his eyes. You are ready with a spell, but it allows you to pass unmolested. Arriving at a glade, where the branches spread overhead like a net, you slog forward towards a high cluster of ferns, and are surprised to feel your feet caught in some sort of entanglement. You pull one of your feet out of the ferns to discover shreds of white silk webbing around your ankle. How vexing. Already tired from hours of walking in the harsh humidity, you now have to struggle through this arduous obstacle into the bargain. If I have the lucky bottle, turn to one section. If not, go to another section. Well, I do have the lucky bottle. How lucky was that? Glancing down, you extracted yourself from the particularly troublesome knot of webbing. Your eyes happen to fall on the lucky bottle hanging at your belt. Its round surfaces give a strangely distorted reflection. You smile at the sight of your own comical image, then jump with thrill of alarm. For a moment it seems as though something large, black and hairy was illuminated in a shaft of sunlight above you. From the glimpse you got, it had a horrible abundance of legs, and it was descending rapidly towards you. It just sounds like a spider. You dodge out the way. You must roll equal to or less than your speed on one dice. You can, of course, use Swift Wind if you got it. But you must decide whether or not to use a spell before you roll. Well, I won't use Swift Wind. I've got a speed of 3, so I just need to score a 1, 2, or 3 on this dice. I roll a dice, and I score 2. Yay! I succeed. You jump aside just in time to avoid the falling bulk of a giant spider. It lands on the center of the glade with a soft plop and squats there, glaring at you with liquid black eyes. Your nerves stand on edge and every muscle in your body goes tense, anticipating an immediate attack. But the spider creature, sure it's just a big spider, appears unwilling to pursue you beyond the bounds of its web. Backing cautiously away, you happen to brush a few strands of cobweb silk from the branch at the edge of the glade. Wound in coil, these count as one item of encumbrance, should you wish to take them with you. Yeah, I'll take some webbing. Worst comes to worst, I can give up my day job and become Spider-Man. Following the course of a brook, which I apparently have now found, you make your way onwards through the stifling hot afternoon. Hacking at creepers with your dagger, you eventually emerge from the jungle to see a landscape of lightly wooded hills descending into a broad valley. By this time, it is almost nightfall, and you are very tired. You need to rest before you can continue your adventure. Fortunately, there's a little wooden hut just ahead of you, at the edge of the forest. As you approach the hut, you pass a stone water trough, which is fed by fresh water from the brook. If you have the lucky bottle with you, you could fill it from the trough. Yeah, I'll do that. Fill a bottle with water. Stepping into the hut, you see an old man sprawled on the floorboards. He gives a painful groan. As you bend closer in the gathering dusk, you find that his leg has been horribly mauled. A sweat of sickness soaks his clothes. Probably fell prey to a wild animal, but somehow escaped and managed to drag himself here. You moisten his lips with a little water from the trough, but he remains feverish and seems unaware of you. The only way to help him would be to use a curative spell, either Water of Healing or Heal Body. Well, I got both of them. No, I don't. I only have Water of Healing. I don't have Heal Body because Heal Body was an earth spell. I think I should help him. I'm meant to be hero here. So, water of healing's gone now. I use water of healing. Note the code word Ophelia. Ophelia. Wonder why I know that word. Your spell miraculously cures the old man's appalling injuries. His eyelids flutter open and sits up, clutching at your shoulder in amazement. What happened to the banja? He says. One moment it was sinking its teeth into my leg. The next, he stares at his leg, jaw agape, unable to fathom why it does not bear as much as a scratch. Obviously, you got away from the banja, you tell him in a soothing voice, though not knowing what a banja is. You're safe now. Seeing the last glimmer of twilight through the window of the hut, he leaps to his feet. Safe? Not a bit of it, he cries. I've lost my pouch of salt, which means we must be very careful when the hunter arrive. As surely they will now the sun has set. Okay, now, the sun sets when I landed in this land that seems to be Lustria. Is it still setting or is it set again? Okay. Probably walked for a lot longer than I thought I did then. What of the hunter? You asked him. And who are you? Come to that. Exchanging introductions, you learn his name is Sake. And he is some sort of friar in this land. Oh, great. We're in Lustria with a Japanese priest. Sorry, a Nippon priest. He seems to be full of local folklore, including the legend of the Hantu, which occupies his attention at the moment. You glean that the Hantu are ghosts that frequent out-of-the-way places and enjoy terrifying the living. The story seems almost quaint. Why? You're from the Warhammer world. Ghosts appear quite often, until Sake makes it clear that the victim of a Hantu is usually quite literally scared to death. On no account set foot outside the hut until dawn, cautions Sake. Also, do not put anything over the threshold. To do so draws the attention of the Hantu, and then we will both be doomed. Not put anything over the threshold. You agree to his stipulations. Just to set his mind at rest. Then, since you're both exhausted, you settle down for the night. Hours later, you awaken. The darkness outside is full of sinister silence. For a moment, you wonder why you find it so disquieting. Then it strikes you. The silence is total. You cannot even hear the chirping of insects. Still your nerves and turn to the next section. The hut is filled with a screech that makes your eyes start from your skull. Start? It comes from the chimney. Suddenly a hideous bone-white face appears upside down in the heath, grinning like an open grave as it fixes you with a deathly red stare. Hard, thin fingers reach towards you. Mad giggling fills your ears. A shudder of terror threatens to numb your senses, and you press back against the flimsy wood wall of the hut. You have only moments to act before the phantom lays its fearful hand upon you. If you intend to fight it out, turn to 26. If you intend to fight it out, turn to one section if you have the code word Ophelia. If you have not acquired this code word, go to another one. Or I can rely on my sorcery. I'm going to use the code word Ophelia. Let's see, Ophelia. Let's see, Ophelia's song. I think I know. Right, Ophelia's song. I'm not going to get the tune quite right, I'm sure. How should I, your true love, know from another one? By his cockled hat and staff, and his sandals shone. Yeah, it was from Shakespeare. I can't remember who wrote it, but I remember know it from a I'd say Japanese film, and Ophelia's song and the story of Ophelia is a major part in it. So yeah, I know it. Yeah, but you well, hopefully listen here for the banter. Right. Clammy fingers seize and rend you. The Hantu's clutch is like ice, its breath like stagnant water. Its laugh like madness. With gasp of horror, you struggle for your life. Suddenly it is gone, departing with an irate howl up the chimney. You see that Sakai has kicked out the last embers of the fire in the grate. I should have thought of that, he rebukes himself. The smoke going up the chimney gave the Hantu an excuse it needs to enter, you see. Slumping in the aftershock of panic, you take stock of your injuries. You've been reduced to 1 body point. Yes, I do know I've been... Oh, well, not been reduced by much. Additionally, you know that you'll be a long time before you can sleep soundlessly again. The Hantu's grisly face will haunt your dreams for years to come. Reduce your mind score to 4. Oh, that's a bit of a pain. You huddle in the corner of the hut and stare at the ashes of the fire until daybreak. Okay, so I'm not in very good shape at the moment. The sun rises spectacularly, casting a glorious golden radiance over the lush river valley to the east. You go outside and breathe in grateful gulp of the fresh morning air. The scene goes a long way towards dispelling the horrors of last night. Saki shares a breakfast of rice cakes with you. As you're ready to set out on your quest, he thanks you for saving his life. I must head south from here, he says, but I have travelled through the country you are heading into. I know a bit that might be useful. Should you meet the nomad barbarians of the plains, I advise you not to try stealing a horse from them. Whatever else you do. You see, they consider horse theft the most heinous crime. Furthermore, atop a crag somewhere on those same plains lies the Academy of Mysteries. It is said that a man may become master of sorcery there, but you must have kept your wits about you, for tuition is overseen by the great fiend himself. Saki scratches his head. Now, is there anything I've overlooked? You're keen to be on your way. You shake hands and wishes the old fellow farewell. You set off down into the valley. Oh yes, Saki calls after you. Make sure to pick some fennel if you see any. It's very good for instilling courage. Silly old duffer, there's no need to shout. You give him a last cheery wave, then turn your face to the east, whistling as you go. Well, you're going to be either whistling Ophelia's song or Hi Ho, Hi Ho. But right, don't steal horses. What a surprise. Especially don't start stealing horses from a bunch of barbarians. And the Academy of Mysteries on top of a crag. Okay, and fennel. No. You walk until mid-afternoon when you come upon a stream. You follow this, and after a while it joins the river. The shadows are now growing long, and the sun is dipping towards the hills behind you. You gaze along the river. There's no dwelling in sight where you might beg a night's lodging. In fact, you've seen no sign of another person all day. It looks as though you will be sleeping under the stars tonight. The prospect hardly fills you with joy. Do I have the lucky barrel? Yes, I have the lucky barrel. You decide to fill your lucky bottle from the river. I cannot see the point of filling my bottle because it's already full, but okay. Almost immediately you jump ahead. Surely that was a cry for help, you heard. It came from upstream, just around the bend in the river. Perhaps it's Ophelia. Do I want to investigate or just fill my bottle? Let me go on my way. My bottle's already filled, and I want to see if I can find Ophelia. And if you've seen the film Fatal Frame or read the book, it's actually bodies of dead schoolgirls they find in the river. Yeah. Around the bend in the river, you see a waterfall, and in front of it, a woman is standing knee-deep in the water, struggling with a bizarre creature. It's an unnatural monster of spume and river reeds. Powerful arms muscle like giant salmon. You get a glimpse of her silvery fins and dull piscine glaze. A tongue in the form of an eel licks the wet pebbles that are its teeth. The woman staggers back and falls with a splash. The creature is upon her before she can recover, trying to pin her and force her under the water. She fights back ferociously, but you see that she is unarmed and weakened but under its onslaught. You don't need to wait for a lesson in chivalry. Oh God. Branching your dagger, you give a lusty roar and charge forward to do battle with the monster. I'm meant to be a wizard, aren't I? But evidently it has no taste for a fair fight. Fixing you with its gimlet eyes, it retreats, dropping away into the river like a collapsing wave. You help the woman to her feet. Once she has gotten her breath back, she says, "May the gods bless you for your intervention. It was foolish of me to bathe here, so close to the waterfall, since I have been warned often enough about the river elemental." Yeah. It's all you can do to hear her over the constant roar of the waterfall. "That's said to be the sound of the elemental's rage," she remarks when she sees you cup your hand to your ears. "In which case, he'll be doubly loud tonight, having been thwarted." So I can ask her if she put you off for the night, or I can put her take my leave. Technically, if I'd been chivalrous, I'll take my leave. But I wanted somewhere for the night, because I don't want to sleep under the stars. The woman, whose name is Topeka. Topeka? Topeka. Is very happy to have the chance to thank you. She leads you back to her home, a small farmhouse not far from the river. I seem to be completely out of the jungle. A few chickens trot around self-importantly, and there is a pig tethered around the side of the house that grunts as it sniffles in the dirt. The inside is homely but welcoming, as you might expect, with strong wooden chairs set before a wide-strewn heath. Watching as you place your belongings in the corner of the room, Topeka is intrigued by the runes engraved in your dagger. "So, the weapon is enchanted," she says. "No doubt that explains the elemental's reluctance to face you." You try to explain the dagger's not really magical, but the runes only distinguish it as a Atham or wizard's dagger. Topeka, however, pays no attention. She turns the dagger over in her hands. "If you gave me this," she says, suddenly turning on you with an entreating look, "I'd be safe from the river elemental. He would never dare attack me again." You consider her request. The monster did retreat from you very rapidly, and it's entirely possible that this was because he feared the runes in your dagger. Supernatural creatures are often very wary of wizardry. Well, unless they're things like a lich, or vampires, or traditionally skeletons and mummies who, because they've got low mind points, aren't really affected by a lot of spells. Actually, I'm going to say that's a little rubbish, actually. There's not many supernatural creatures that are afraid of wizardry. Although the truth is that these runes had no intrinsic power, the elemental's fear of them would certainly ensure Topeka's safety, but it would leave you weaponless. I'm going to let her have it. Topeka thanks you effusively as she tucks the dagger into her girdle. Delete the dagger from your character sheet. Yeah, not until you get weapons reduced 1 to combat score, right. Do I have both the carpet and some strands of cobweb silk? No, because you told me not to take the carpet. But the silk. I only have one. So I turn to the different section. While Topeka bustles about preparing a meal, you sit on the porch and watch the sun sink amid a red swath of clouds. As night closes in, the moon rises clear and full, and the stars sparkle out of the darkness. A light breeze rustles the trees, seemed whispering Louise, bringing the haunting notes of a harp from somewhere down the riverbank. You sit and listen to the music, a melody of exquisite beauty that mingles with the moonlight. Night and the river scent to create an entrancing mood. For this brief time, the cares and worries of your quest are entirely put aside. You surrender yourself to the moment. Do I call Topeka out to the porch and ask her who the harpist is? Or leave her preparing the evening meal? I might ask her, because it's probably going to be something bad. She comes out wiping her fingers on her apron and sits with you listening to the harp. When the last music is finished, she waits until the echo of the last note has died away into the night. Then she turns to you. "That is the music of the river elemental," she says. Sometimes, when the mood strikes him, he creates such marvelous melodies from the sound of the water, wherever there is malice hidden within the beauty. For it is said the elemental is a servant of chaos, and will sometimes make a gift of magical harp to a human who agrees to work mischief. Such a magical harp has a property that all who hear it must dance, and will continue to do so until the harpist stops, or until they drop from exhaustion. How very fortunate that the elemental's own music doesn't have that effect, you reply. It too has a drawback, despite its beauty, says Topeka, nodding her head towards the eastern horizon. You now see a faint glow of gold in the sky there. It is nearly dawn. You leap to your feet. How is this possible? It seemed we were only listening to the harp for a few moments. Topeka shrugs. It distorts the sense of time. Often I have known an entire night to flee away. Hours lost in what seems a too brief moment, while I sat listening to the elemental music. But it is just the price one pays for the enjoyment of such beauty. It is all very well being philosophical, you tell her, but I have an urgent mission that will brook no delay. Now I must set out, and without even comfort of a good meal and night's rest. You hastily gather your belongings, bid Topeka farewell, and set out on your swing. Now get the code word Stromkal. I'm wondering if you have any healing spells on me at the moment. See, swift wind, tempest, fire, wrath, ball of flame, courage, sleep, veil of mist. No. Okay. Although warm, the day becomes increasingly overcast as grey clouds pile up from the west. You follow the course of the river as it meanders across the bottom of a broad valley. Cranes prance slowly through the rushes, goggling at you with their thin beaks. Once you are startled by a great beast larger than an ox, which rises up from the wallowing mud to go stomping off through the undergrowth. Sounds like a hippo. See, this has got to be Lustria. You instantly raise your hands, ready to wave a spell, but the strange beast seems to pay no more attention to you than the flies buzzing around it. See, if you were in water and you found a hippo, you're dead. Well, not instantly dead, but they're territorial, and in water they're really fast. At last you arrive at a lake which is shrouded in a thick mist. At its fringes the lake merges into dank marshland. Where the river debouches into the lake, there is a narrow stretch of firm ground. You see a weathered old rowboat pulled up on the lake shore, and beyond that is a ferryman's hut, with a barge tethered to the jetty outside. As you ponder the best route from here, the ferryman emerges from his hut. His gangling limbs and small pot-bellied torso remind you of a sort of comical insect, an impression which is only strengthened by his wide eyes and pursed-lipped mouth. Small pot-bellied gangling limbs. This is definitely illustrative. I'm going to do this one. You will not want to take out on that lake, he says, wagging a finger as he sees you inspecting the rowboat. Why not, you ask? Apparently it has been abandoned, and while not in perfect repair, it is good enough condition for a short voyage. The ferryman shakes his head. Mist phantoms haunt the lake, he asserts. My barge has been blessed by a priest, and the phantoms will leave it alone. But if they find you in that rowboat, then they will suck out your soul as surely as a man drains woke from its shell. You come over and look at his barge. There's indeed a talisman hanging from the prow, and although you do not recognise the Pacific rune, it looks authentic enough to bear out his story. How much for a crossing, you ask him. After some haggling, he sets his price at 2 items. You don't care what items they are. Yeah. That's a pain. I can either give him 2 items, which I've only got my talisman, the lucky water bottle, or the webbing. Or if I cannot or will not pay his fee, I can either try to walk around the lake or the marsh, or cross it on a rowboat. Can just knock him on the head and steal his boat. It's got a talisman in it. least not trying to cross the ocean of fire. Oh, that's a reference that I probably won't explain if you don't know it. But a ferryman asking to cross the ocean of fire. If you do, you must pay a price. Knowing about 4 gems. Yeah, see, if I give up the talisman, the bravery, my combat back down to 3. Seeing how low my health is, I probably better do that. Talisman, the bravery goes, and so does weapon go. Of course, my combat's already gone down to 1 now because I haven't got a dagger. Okay. Can I haggle something lower? Like the 4 gems. Accepting the items, the ferryman urges you to get aboard without delay. I do not wish to get caught out in the lake after nightfall, he explains as he punts out from the shore. I am not sure the talisman's affecting us then. Paid off into the mist, you strain to make out some signs of phantoms he spoke of. You can see nothing. Did he tell the truth, or have you just been gulled by a clever trickster? You will never know. Well, I can if I just scroll for the book bit, but okay. Settling down on the far side of the lake, the ferryman pushes off from the shore and heads back across with all dispatch. His stick-like limbs a fury of agitation as he punts away. You watch until he disappears behind the wall of fog, then turn to carry on your way. Well, with his hurrying, you'd think he's genuine, but yeah. You make your way out of the boggy lowland bordering the lake. By afternoon, you're walking. I thought it was getting closer. Okay. By afternoon, you're walking on pleasant wind-blown downs. Ahead, as dust draws over the landscape, lies a rolling vista of corpses and grassy knolls. That's corpses as in trees corpses, not corpses as in dead people. Spotting a cottage, you make your way nearer in the hope of finding shelter for the night. However, the calls of greeting are unanswered, and so it seems the place is deserted. You push the door open. Evidently there's no one at home, but the cottage shows signs of having been lived in quite recently. Why should the owner have left? However, no danger is visible, so you decide to take the liberty of making up a bed for yourself besides the fire. In the absence of the owner, you also help yourself to some bread and butter from the larder, because you're a bit of a thief, but you'd better be a wizard. After supper, you feel warmed and content, and you can restore 1 body point if currently wounded. I'm currently very wounded. That puts me back up to 2. Right. Then you settle down for the night. Try to roll your mind score. Or less. But my mind score is currently 4. So can I roll a 4 or less? I got a 4. Yeah, I succeed. Shortly after midnight, there's a dry scraping noise. A greeny little spriggan emerges from the brickwork behind the heath and goes creeping on tiptoe towards your belongings. You sit up indignantly and swipe at it. It leaps like a startled cat and scuttles back into the corner, 4 sharp fingers raised to fight back. Okay, they're not really spriggans in Warhammer, but okay. Combat 5, Body 1. It will mean abandoning your belongings if you flee into the night, or you decide to kill the spriggan. Well, what belongings do I have? My lucky water bowl. I don't really want to lose my lucky water bowl, but do I really want to kill the spriggan? Well, I've only got 1 body point. Spriggan is Cornish folklore creature. I think it's supposed to be actually pronounced Spriggan rather than Spriggan, because it's the one Cornish word that I can't pronounce that. Mostly little old men that are often said to be ghosts of giants. Often not very nice and very mischievous. Like to steal stuff and bits and pieces. Yeah, I'll try and kill it. Holding the lonesome spiny thing by the tail, you fling it into the fire and watch it crackle and shiver like a burning pine cone. You note that Spriggans burn with a pale green flame, producing an odour like mingled honeysuckle and charred hair. This residue resembles wax, and you can keep some of this if you wish. Okay. I've killed a Spriggan and picked up its dead body as wax. Perhaps these details will interest your master. The rest of the night passes without incident. In the morning, you rake over the ashes of the fire, gather your things, and prepare to set out. It's the blustery day, but free of rain. Well, fine. Not always raining when it's windy, but okay. You find the fresh wind to be bracing rather than unpleasant, and soon fall into a strong stride. The miles roll by. Before long, you are headed out across sweeping plains. There are no trees, and the wind flattens the long dry grass. The occasional granite tor is the only feature of this desolate flat landscape. Okay, right, we've gone from Lustria to Cornwall. Yeah, why are we in Cornwall now? Finally, you come in sight of a crag, at the top of which squats a building of stone walls and high black painted gables. A steep path leads up towards it. This would be the academy, magical academy thing. Yeah, I want to go up here. We're told it's a nice place. It's a hard climb, but by the time you reach the top, you are breathing heavily. Over the walls of the outer courtyard, you see tall black towers looming against the sky. A sign creaks on an overhanging post, and you peer at it until you have made out the faded words, "The Academy of Mysteries." The gates stand open for you to enter, but close of their own accord as you pass through. You watch in slight surprise as the padlock snaps shut and locks itself. Clearly there is sorcery at work here. That is only what to be expected of such a foreboding place. As yet, you have no cause for alarm. You cross the courtyard to a heavy door, which opens as you approach. At first, you assume that this is more magic at work, but then a stooped old man shows himself in the doorway, huddled inside long black scholar's robes. He beckons you over. Come in, he urges. It is much warmer inside. He shows you into a musty wood-panelled hall with several desks and lecture at the far end. Here, daylight penetrates only dimly through the dusty panels. The floorboards creak anciently underfoot as you walk along the hall, studying the inscriptions painted above the narrow lattice windows. You have arrived at the Academy of Mysteries, announces the old man in a reedy voice. I am Trebunculus, the schoolmaster. You can study here and gain great sorcerous knowledge, but when you go to leave, the evil one will do his best to snatch you, and those that escape him rarely get past his gatekeeper. So choose. If you go now, you can pass unmolested. Stay and you stake your life, a fitting price to pay in the pursuit of knowledge. That could be tricky. Knowledge could be useful. Or it could just be getting killed. Tricky. I think I'm probably not going to train. Though it'd be nice. Definitely I can learn a lot of good stuff. It's a case of, if you study here, when you go to leave, everyone will do his best to snatch you. And those that escape really get past his gatekeeper. Yeah, it's gonna be a pain trying to get past him, I think. So it might not be worth it. So I'm gonna say it's not worth it for now and carry on. Trebunculus, yeah, is as good as his word, and you are not attacked. The gate remains obstinately locked, however, obliging you to either use genie or pass through rock in order to leave. Oh, that's just great. I have no genie or pass through rock. So I have at least one spell, I can do this thing, else I can accept his offer instead. I'm gonna have to accept his offer in training in magic. Right. Tantrampolus fetches a number of books and goes up to the lectern, at which he holds forth at great length. At first you find the lessons tedious, but then you realize he is telling you about the variety of sorcerous techniques and occult principles that you have never previously considered. You may now inquire 3 spells of whichever category that you did not select at the start of your venture. So I get the 3 earth spells. That's good. That's weird. I don't actually have space for 3 earth spells. No, it says I can now acquire them, so yeah. So that is Pass Through Rock, Heal Body. What's the third rock? The third Heal Body, Pass Through Rock. Rock Skin, of course. Right, so I've got the spells. You are a worthy student, I must say, says Trembunculus once the lesson has ended. Most attentive. But no matter how hard you study, you'll most likely end up with a gravestone for a diploma. He wanders off, mumbling to himself, leaving you alone in the shadowy schoolroom. Mindful of his early warning, you cross the floor cautiously and then make a sudden dash for the exit. A loose floorboard suddenly opens just beside you, and a huge hairy hand thrusts up, sharp fingernails clutching to seize you. You must act quickly. Do I want to use an item? Do you think a spell might help, or prefer to rely on my agility? Well, my speed is 3, so I don't think that's much agility. An item? What items am I currently carrying? A lucky bottle of water, and this brigand wax. Yeah, I don't think either of them are going to be any good as an item. Spells. No. Rock Skin, Heal Body, Pass Through Rock, Swift Wind, Tempest. Yeah, Swift Wind, that would probably help quite a bit. So I think I'll use a spell. Only 2 spells strike you as possibly effective in this situation. Which will you use? Veil of Mist or Swift Wind? If you decide against either of those, you can try Dodging Past or try an item. I'm gonna try Swift Wind because I think that will allow me to run quickly. With a burst of speed, you dodge away from the clutching hand and rush outside into the courtyard. So I've used my Swift Wind now. Okay, fair enough. You stride rapidly across the courtyard, resisting the urge to look back over your shoulder. Your only wish now is to be away from this dark place as quickly as possible. You come to a halt beside the gates, still fastened by a stout padlock. They bar your exits from the academy. You must resort to magic if you are ever to leave. Do you want to use a genie? I can't use a genie. Do you want to pass through walls? Pass through rock? We go through the wall, or do I have neither spell? If I have neither spell, I'm trapped here and I'm going to be dead. Well, I'm not trapped here because I can pass through rock. I'm still worried that I'm going to meet somebody on the other side now. Pass through rock, right. The spell allows you to pass straight through the heavy granite blocks of the wall. It is like moving through cold water in an instant. Emerging on the other side, you notice a warrior in black armor standing beside the gate. If you had exited that way, he would certainly have ambushed you. As it is, he gives a roar of anger and stomps towards you, the metal plates of his harness clanking hollowly with each step. Seeing no benefit in an unnecessary battle, you hurry off down the path at a pace that the warrior cannot match. The plain stretches on and on. You walk until your legs ache, but there still is no end to the dreary flat landscape. Towards sunset, the sky looks like a canopy of scarlet, gold, and azure green. You come to a standstill, overawed by the beauty of this strange land, and by a sense of your own insignificance. Then, as you stand there in the gathering dusk, the faint strains of music reach your ears. Oh God, it's the harp again, is it? Moving towards the sound, you catch sight of the tents of a nomad encampment. The nomad's horses are tethered beside the largest tent, but there is not a single person to be seen, not even the sentry guarding the horses. Think how useful a horse would be for your journey. No, it wouldn't, because these would be the barbarian nomads who I'm told think horse theft is the major sin in the world, and I don't think I'll get away with this. As you approach the tent, you can hear the sound of stamping feet mingling with the harp music coming from within. It sounds as though people are dancing with great gusto, but curiously there's no singing. An odd nomad costume, or something more sinister. Don't take advantage of the absence to steal a horse? No, I don't. Continue my way on foot, or decide to look into the tent? That's interesting. Harp music with a lot of dancing and stuff like that, but no singing. Could be tricky. I think I probably just want to carry on. Earlier I did say I'm in a hurry for some reason, but wending your way through the thickening darkness, you at last must rest. Huddling against the flat ground, you shiver in the unrelenting wind, and at last fall into an exhausted slumber. You awaken to a grey dawn. Cramped and cold, lose 1 body point owing to exposure, and 1 speed owing to blisters. Ooh, okay. My speed's now gone down to 2, and body's gone back down to 1. I can deal with that in a second. In fact, I'll deal with that now. I'll use my heal body to go back up to full 4. Yay. But if you're still able to go on, I am. You rise to your feet with a groan and slump wearily to the east. Only an hour after daybreak, you spy a cluster of yellow flowers in the shelter of a low bluff. It is a pleasant and cheering sight after the drab expanse of parched grass you have been trekking through for so long. You stop to pick a few flowers, which you identify as fennel. Do you have the code word Ophelia? Yes, I do. We did the whole Ophelia song bit. Recalling Sake's passing words, you suddenly understand what he's telling you. Trusting to his herbalist's knowledge, you chop the fennel flowers. They have a miraculous effect. You acquire a courage spell. Add this spell to your list. What, you got it? If you already had it, you can now cast it twice. Oh goody, I can cast courage twice now. Yeah, have you noticed some of the adventure game books, there's always been a thing, where you'd have a section, and it tells you to turn to another section, and that section will tell you to turn to another section. Now, I know this may sound stupid because that's the adventure givers, but what I mean is you get no choices. In which case, why didn't these 2 sections get merged into one big section? You know what I mean? It just sometimes bothers me. Don't know why. At last, the plains come to an end, rising into barren, dusty hills. Oh, great. Plains of low grass, other grass now turning back to the dusty hills. You wend your way on, following the course of the dry gully until you see towers of a grim citadel ahead. A pennant flies on the topmost turret, a grey flag on which 7 black stars are visible. The Citadel of the 7 statues. Somewhere in that forbidden keep, your mastery lies imprisoned. Also, I'll point out, this is the second of these Adventure Game Books one based on the Heroquest, and there's not been a single Heroquest enemy in them. There have been other enemies. Come on. At least an orc or goblin or something. Okay. Experiencing renewed vigour, now that you are within sight of your goal, you march towards the Citadel. There is a growing knot of icy fury in your heart. You will deal harshly with whoever has captured your master and forced you on this odious quest. Suddenly, an arrow whispers through the air, just missing you. It clatters off a nearby rock. Dropping to a crouch, you scan the walls until you see a flurry of movement behind a narrow window to one side of the gatehouse. An archer stands there, already knocking a second shaft onto his bow, ready to snipe you as you approach. Do I want to run for the gate? Do I prefer to zigzag? Or do I want to cast a spell first? Well, I could say the archer, if he's human, that could be a Heroquest one. The men-at-arms, when they were first released in the Heroquest Advanced quest, as the Dark Company. So it could be one of those. So, yay? Well, spells I have could be of use. Tempest, Fire of Wrath, Ball of Flame, 2 Versions of Courage, Sleep, Veil of Mist, Rock Skin. That'd be a great one for this. But, depending on how good our archery is. If he's a very good archer, then if I go zigzaggy, he'll still pick me off. Predict where I'm going. If he's not so good at archer, that won't work. I will try going zigzaggy. Your heels kick up flurries of dust from the gravel-strewn path as you go racing towards the Citadel. Dodging to and fro. From the vantage point of his window, the archer sees you coming. His first arrow misses, sighing lethally as it sweeps over your head. He takes more time with the second and third, waiting to anticipate your position before shooting. To dodge each of the remaining 2 arrows, you must roll equal to or less than your speed score on 1 dice. Well, that's not very good. My speed score is not very good at the moment, is it? So, on 1 dice, can I roll less than a 2? I roll a 6. A 6 is not very good. I lose 1 body point of damage. So I'm down to 3. And on my next dice, I roll a 3. That's not very good either. My body point's now down to 2. Hit with twice. If you survive, keep going till you reach the lead of the gate. What good. You press yourself against the colossal oak portal, hidden from the archer's line of sight by the jutting stone portico. You slump into a crouch to get your breath back. For a moment at least you are safe. Or are you? Glancing up at the roof of the portico, you see a row of holes in the stonework. These are murder holes, channels through which defenders of the Citadel can pour boiling oil or acid onto enemies who are at the gates. You must gain entry to Citadel quick before the murder holes start sluicing an agonizing rain upon you. Oh, this reminds me of one of the Carry On TV series. If you're English, you should know about the Carry On films. Very popular range of comedy films. Cheaply made, but they did really well for what they need to do. Actors in the script, I think, carries, and they didn't be stupid like, oh, we have to put special effects overboard, which we didn't need. They can't make good comedy films out these days. You just have to go stupid with them. Anyway, they did a TV series that... it wasn't the best, but it was a hell of a lot better than what a lot of people credited it for being, I think. Now, just one medieval one set is one always has his boiling oil so he can throw the enemies. When asked, why does it have to be boiling? So he can cook his chips in it. Nope, his own cookies, fish in it. Anyway. Oh, look, again, turn to another section without actually moving to something else. Annoyingly, I'll get through without pass through. Oh, I can't use that. There are only 3 ways of getting into the Citadel. You could decide to cast Genie. I do not have a Genie. You can decide to use Pass Through Rock. I used Pass Through Rock earlier. Or I can tend to scale the Citadel walls. I'm going to have to scale the walls, because scaling the walls is the only way I can go. You start to climb. Oh dear. Try to roll equal or less than your speed score on 1 dice. If you have some strands of cobweb silk, these will help you in the ascent. When did I get rid of the cobweb silk, by the way? Oh, I gave it to the ferryman. Typical. Now, Now, when I'm doing this, can I cast a spell? Yeah, what these spells do in this context? Because doesn't one of the spells let me instantly pass a speed test? Swift Wind will increase my speed for a single roll, but I've used Swift Wind. Yep, absolutely nothing. I use Swift Wind. So what the chances I can roll a 1 or a 2 on a d6? A 2! Well, that was a 2 in 6 chance. 1 in 3. No, yeah. Well, yay. I have succeeded. Digging your fingers into any crack you can find, you slowly ascend the monumental black wall of the Citadel. No, I quickly ascend. That's why I had to roll my speed thing. But anyway. The climb is hard. Sweat soaks your clothes, and your breath rasps in dry, dusty air. Several times you nearly slip, and are left clinging to the wall with a pounding heart, as you steel your nerve to climb further. As you reach the top, with grateful gasp, you drag yourself over the parapet onto the safety of the battlements. But you cannot relax yet. No sooner have you reached the top of the wall than a flock of ragged black ravens come soaring up from the courtyard below. The harsh croaks of their hatred indicate that they mean to drive you back off the battlements. Oh, great. 6 ravens are attacking me at one go. Must fight all of them at once. In other words, all the ravens get a chance to attack you every round, but you only get a chance to attack 1 in return. So even though they're individually weak, yep, all 6 have a combat of 2 and a body of 1, they might easily overwhelm you by sheer numbers. The only way to flee from the unkindness of the ravens would be to jump off the battlements into the courtyard. Don't want to resort to that? Nope. Then if I kill him or if I fail to kill him. If I fail to kill him, I die as the ravens pluck my eyes out. Why are ravens always going for eyeballs? These things. Well, I'm going to have to do the combat attacking. But that said, let me check these spells again. Because rock skin halves the wounds I take. Tempest. Each enemy must roll a dice to start their subsequent turn to see if they can actually attack me. Or see if they can do anything. Could be of use. Ball of Flame. Strikes all enemies facing you in a given fight. Each gets a chance to avoid damage by rolling 1 or 2 on a dice. If this roll fails, then inflicts 1 point of damage. But we can do this. So, I will use my spell Ball of Flame against all 6 ravens. Let's see if any survive. The first raven needs a 1 or 2 to survive. He gets a 4. Raven number 1 is dead. Next raven gets a 1. Raven number 2 survives. The next raven gets a 6. He's dead. The 4th raven, 4, dead. The 5th raven, 6, dead. The 6th raven, 1, survives. So, that leaves 2 ravens now. They get to attack me. Right, they need to roll their combat score or less. So, raven number 1 hits me. Ooh, that's not good. That must be down to 1 body point. Next raven just about misses me. Yee, got a 3. Very close there. So there's 2 ravens left. How am I going to do this one? Do I have any... what other spells do I have? Because spell might be useful. Fire Breath is good, but only takes out 1 enemy. So, no point. Courage will increase my combat score for the 1 turn. Sleep. No, doesn't really always work. Veil of Mist. I have to roll a dice to see if the enemy actually sees me. Cast it at start of battle. Well, I haven't cast it at start of battle. Okay, I'm going to take my luck trying to fight these ravens. So, raven number 1. It should be number 2, but it's number 1 because I've got it, yeah. I need to score equal or less than my combat score, which is currently of 3. I roll the dice, and I get 1. I take that raven out. Yay. So, 1 raven left. But he gets to attack me, and he scores a 3. Again? Unlucky. Okay. But so he misses. I get to attack him. I score a 2. I hit. Yay. I've taken out the ravens. Nevermore will they attack anybody else. Okay. All 6 ravens are now dead. Dead birds. So, quite well trained birds too, really. You find steps leading down to off the battlements and make your way down to the inner courtyard. You must be wary from now on. You have penetrated the very strongholds of your enemies, and death might lurk around any corner. You advance cautiously across the covered courtyard towards the central dojon of the Citadel. Dojon. A square building of dreary grey stone, more closely resembling the colossal mausoleum of a king than a castle's inner tower. You pass through an archway into an empty vestibule. There is a huge door directly in front of you, emblazoned with the same armorial insignia that you saw in the pennant. 7 black stars on a grey field. That's going to be hard to make out from a distance. The emblem of the enigmatic 7 statues, whoever or whatever they might be. Your gaze travels around the vestibule, checking out possible avenues of attack. You see only a well in the floor, whose shaft probably leads to the Citadel's crypts or storerooms. Don't want to go over and look down? Or don't want to cross straight to the door? Tricky again. There's a lot of tricky stuff, isn't there? Well, of course, there's tricky stuff. That's the whole point. Yeah. I looked down the well because there was something down there. If it's crypts or storerooms, it might be where they've got my master trapped. Or I could cross the door. The door's gonna be like a big main room, but I'm gonna have to peek down there. See if there's a whale monster or something. Oh god, hang on. A well. I'm wondering if this is where Pikmin took his... Yeah. If I see an artist drawing pictures of ungodly monsters, and you notice the well in it happens to look like the one that's in his house, I'm in trouble. The moment you look over the lid of the well, you're transfixed by an eerie sight. A horde of spectral, bloodless heads are floating up the shaft of the wellway towards you, each with eyes glowing like luminous emeralds, long teeth gnashing in bloodless gums. The necks end in ragged stumps from which hangs a hideous knot of writhing entrails. All this is enough to fill the bravest heart with horror, but there is something else that terrifies you most. The heads are rising towards you in total silence. Do I want to use a spell, or do I want to stand my ground and fight? Well, it doesn't sound quite as bad as Pikmin's model, but let's think. Would any of my spells help? Yeah, there's a couple of spells that might help. I can try a spell. What spell will I try? Ball of Flame, Tempest, or Swift Wind? Well, I don't have Ball of Flame, I don't have Swift Wind, but I do have Tempest. So I will cast Tempest on them. A storm cloud fills the shaft. Turbulent winds buffet the floating heads. They stare up at you with eyes full of luminous hatred, but they are powerless to ascend and attack until the tempest dissipates. By that time, you intend to have put at least one door between you and them. Yay! You carry on onwards through the door and quietly draw it closed behind you. You're in a long hall. What's a Gunfallon? Gunfallon? Okay, Gunfallon, banner of pennant. Especially one with streamers. Hung from a crossbar. Oh, I know what nose is there. But they're more Italian. Yeah, very similar to older ones, but they're based on Italians naming stuff. Okay. Okay, now I've discovered the word Gunfallon. Yeah, hung in an identical manner to the Roman Vlexum. Oh yeah, I know the Vlexums. Okay. Gunfallons, each bearing the emblem of the seven black stars, hang from the tips of lances set in brackets along the wall. They stir languidly in the draught that moves along the hall after you have closed the door. Dust covers every surface, including the great stone table that dominates the center of the room. Set around the table are 7 stone seats, and in front of each seat is a stone goblet. At the back of the hall is a darkened archway. Off to one side, in the far corner, a spiral staircase leads to the upper floors of the keep. A voice resounds from beyond the archway. It's like the rumbling of rocks. Come, brothers, it is time for our repast. Heavy footsteps shake the floor. 7 stony pairs of feet tread the flagstones. You might just have time to reach the staircase before they get here. Do I want to reach the staircases? Or do I want to try and hide? Well, if I run, I'm going to have to probably do a speed test. But it might be easier just to hide. Then if I hide, then I could stay here for ages. I'm going to actually try and hide. You draw the fabric of the Gothon across in front of you and wait for them to arrive. They loom out the darkness beyond the arch. 7 figures of stone. Statues come to life. Each step they take makes the floor shudder underfoot. Each sound they utter is like the echo of a rock cavern. Where is the table? Grates the first, arms outstretched in front of him like a sleepwalker. As he advances slowly, a lumbering step at a time, you suddenly realize they are blind. It is intolerable that we should go fumbling our way to the table like old dullards, intones another. It is our shirky henchman's fault, the third statue growls. He should be here. He will suffer foul torments for his laziness. The henchman. Do they mean the archer who shot at you when you arrived? No matter. Now that you know they cannot see, you can breathe more easily. And now, looking out more boldly from behind the griffon, you see something else. The last statue wears a set of keys at his belt. Don't want to creep past them and head up the stairs? Don't want to go up to them and pretend to be the missing henchman? Or do you want to go over and sit at the table? Why the hell would I want to go over and sit at the table? Pretending to be the henchman might be good, depending on how they can do. I don't want to creep upstairs. I'll pretend to be a henchman. You step lightly forward and address the statues. Masters, I must apologize for my tardiness, but I'm now here. You must be punished, booms one of the statues. A broken bone for each second we have been left waiting. We might have fumbled against a chair and fallen, rumbles the first statue in his gravelly tones. Not all the stonemasons in the world could have repaired our injuries. Time enough later to punish me, memorial lords, you put in hastily, but first your banquet awaits. Taking the first statue by the hand, you lead them one at a time to the stone chairs. As you guide the seventh to his chair, however, he touches your head and says mistrustfully, You seem rather taller than usual. Do I make an immediate dash for the stairs? Or do I keep up the charade? I will try to keep up the charade. Just because I seem taller, I can get away with that. I am wearing platform shoes. Because I have gone and seen Ziggy Stardust. I have no boots, my lord. I told you platform shoes. You improvise hurriedly. No doubt the fixed soles account for the extra few inches. The seventh statue follows you for another few steps before digging an adamantine finger into your ribs. And you seem rather scrawnier. I have been too busy my lord's service to take time to eat, you explain. When you have almost got him into his seat, he rests his hand solidly across your shoulders and says, And only yesterday you were a hunchback. You know when to cut your losses and run. Snatching the keyring from the statue, remember to note it down, yep, keys. Yeah, you make a dash for the stairs. Roll one dice, you will score your speed or less. Oh dear, let's try this. And I have rolled a 1. Wow. Good in the old speedway. They race up the stairways, which are too narrow for this. They're too narrow for the living things. God, the Crayon Castle. I hope you just bowled the castle or something, because otherwise you haven't done much tailoring. The stairs take you up far into the Citadel, and only sounds in the narrow stairwell are your breathing and the scuffling of your boots on the stone steps. Suddenly you pause. Your master must lie somewhere close at hand. You can sense it. But it seems strange that there's no guardian to prevent the intruders from reaching this far. Have I learnt the code word immolate? No, I haven't. That doesn't sound good. Your suspicions are confirmed a moment later when the hideous hunchback appears round the newel of the stairway and launches himself at you with angered snarl. He has a combat score of 3 and a body of 2, and did not appear in Heroquest. It would be dangerous to turn and flee. He could leap down at you. So let's try to attack him. Right, I have the spell Courage. Can I remember what that does? Because doesn't that help me in combat? Courage. Increases your combat score by 1 for the duration of the battle. But it doesn't matter that I can't flee, so I'll cast the spell Courage. So cast 1 Courage. So that puts my combat score up to 4. He then gets to attack me. He rolls 4. Yay. I've only got 1 life point left. This can be a pain. Oh, he's got body of 2. Hang on. If he's got body of 2, you say immolate? Fire of Wrath. Seeks out a single enemy, inflicts 2 body points of damage, automatically killing them. Especially since he only has 2 body points there. No roll needed. Ha ha ha. You are now a burning thing. Burning hunchback. See? I should have realised that clue emoliate. Oh, it does mean I've got a burning corpse running toward me, technically. At the top of the stairs is a door. You glance over your shoulder, only to find that the stairs have vanished behind you. There's just a circular shaft leading far down to the ground floor of the Citadel. There is no turning back now. Who's there? Cries a voice from the other side of the door. It's your master, Theodosius. If I don't know if that's the same way I pronounced it earlier. At last, you found him. You try the handle and discover the door is locked. The cell is lined with silver, calls Theodosius from the other side of the door. That means you cannot get in with pass-through rock. Okay, does anybody know that pass-through rock doesn't work on silver? Anyone? No? Nope. Me neither. Right. If I have a bunch of keys, you can unlock the door. Or use a genie spell. I have a bunch of keys. If you have neither that or a spell, you lose. Well, I have the keys because I snapped the keys from the big rock monster. Well, stone statue person. Bursting into Philone's cell, you see at once that there is one final guardian to deal with. It is a mechanical hound, fashioned out of interlocking plates with burnished gold. Behind it, Theodosius sits, with his wrists fettered in iron shackles. Thank the heavens you have come, he cries. But beware this strange beast. Yeah, I've got a robot dog that was not in Heroquest. I can be pretty sure that. The metal hound makes no attempt to bite you, however, but instead jumps back across the cell and clamps its jaw around Theodosius' throat. As you step closer, it emits a menacing mechanical growl. This is a sticky situation. If you try to free your master, those gold fangs will rip out his throat. What can you do? Was I given some Aqua Regina from the Nomads? No, I wasn't, because I avoided the Nomads. I could try the Tempest spell, apart from the fact that I use the Tempest spell. Hey, do you think Rock Skin would help? If I have neither of those, turn to another section. I got a feeling my master's going to be dead. You're aghast, horror-struck. You have come so far, overcome so many dangers, only to falter. Sorry, master, you say, shaking your head. There's nothing I can do. You blithering imbecile, he rages. You've come all this way and now you tell me that? Is there no way? Perhaps I could try again, you suggest. Theodosius nods. You have to, won't you? Find your way back to the maze and use a time travel spell to go back a fortnight. That way you'll get another chance. As you're leaving the cell, he shouts after you. And get it right this time. If you decide to go back in time, as he suggests, return to start and try the adventure again. Well, I could try the adventure again right now, but I'm just going to say that's a loss. Because otherwise I'm going to ages just to go through this again. It'd be very repetitive. I could try some other paths, but yeah. I'm surprised. I mean, surely... what I've left. Courage, barely missed. Those spells wouldn't have helped much. Oh well. So, what do I think of this one? Again, it's not too bad. There's a nice little story. Again, there's absolutely no real Heroquest connection here. Oh, look in the last page. There's a diploma. Yeah, if you win, you can get a diploma of wizardry. Oh, that's it. You don't get that if you win. There's a diploma of wizardry. Okay. On this day, the bearer of this certificate was deemed worthy of the title Adeptus Magicus, having demonstrated exceptional levels of wisdom, valor, cunning, and sorceress prowess. Henceforth, the bearer is empowered to use all 4 of the elemental types: earth, air, fire, and water, by order of the High Mage of the High Council of Archmages. Hey, does this mean if I use that in the Heroquest, I can get used 4 spells instead of 3? Shame I normally play Dungeon Master then. Yeah. That's it. I think it's quite good. Again, use the same basic system from the other Heroquest. It focuses on one character, which is a bit easier to keep track of, but at the same time, makes it a bit less involved. More choice of spells, which is good. The setting is a bit weird. Yeah, actually we'll go talk about this because on the whole I think it's quite a good story. It's quite nice, no problem. But I was looking over some old maps of the Warhammer world, especially from this time. And actually, once you go over the abyss, that's where the steps are, just north of Cathay, whatever. No, it would be Cathay and Nippon. So why you think there's unknown land, I don't know. If you keep going, you would eventually get to the New World, which may or may not be connected. It's hard to say. The maps finish at that point. And the New World, you have to go south to get to Lustria, even though this sounds like Lustria in this. So yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, I think it's a good story. Got a bit of got replay value, of course. It's not just immediately game over. Not this bit of immediate game over, but yeah, things go. But as I commented earlier, why isn't there much in the way of the HeroQuest enemies? And you could argue that the giant spider is Warhammer Quest. Of course, Warhammer has giant spiders. That's about it, really. Oh well. We'll see what happens next time. When I've got another book to go through. Bye then.